Hi everyone, thanks for checking out another InfoSec Hub video. I'm very happy you guys are watching because this is going to be a special video. Today I managed to get PfSense working within my own lab. I'm in the process of setting up a hacking lab, all within VirtualBox, and all the virtual machines should be connected to each other. So what I did today is just to give you an overview of PfSense. First, what is PfSense? And also, this is the first video coming off my virtual lab. What you're seeing here in front of you is VirtualBox Manager. You can set up multiple virtual machines based on ISO files. So what you see here is Kali Linux. I set it up today. This is a penetration. It's a Linux distribution penetration testing tool. Basically, it's full of tools that penetration testers use to to do reconnaissance on networks, to crack keys. It's full of tools. I already did a video on all the powerful tools that Kali Linux has, so you want to go more into depth about what Kali Linux is, just check out my previous video. What you're looking at the moment is you see Ubuntu, which is it's a desktop. It's a Ubuntu desktop. It's running, and PfSense is running. And PfSense is an open source firewall. When I make videos like this, I will do it all within VirtualBox, because I can't really show you a working production machine. Because it's not really secure to show you that. So what I want to show you instead is how those distributions come straight out of the box. And when you set it up yourself, it's not very difficult. There are many tutorials online how to set it up, but the main thing I want to share with you guys is how you set up the network. So let's go into Ubuntu. Let's go to the settings. This is all in Dutch because I'm from the Netherlands. Here you have adapter 1 and adapter 2. For Ubuntu, I set it up to NAT, Network Address Translation. So all the settings, the DNS settings, the IP addresses come from the DHCP server that I have running on this network. And adapter 2 is what you're really connected to. And I call this the internal network, and the name is LAN 1. So you saw that. This is my client. Now I go to the server, and I also show you the settings here. Network, adapter 1 bridged. This is my network card on the device that I'm recording this video on. And adapter 2 is also the internal network. So you can see these two devices should be able to connect to each other. Let me first show you PfSense. It's running. The firewall is ready. Basically, you're not really looking at a graphical user interface. This is just a network. What I'm saying, this is a server software, so you're not looking at it. And here you can see distinctively WAN and LAN. So if you want to connect to this software, this piece of server software, you should connect to this IP address. And as you can see right here, I'm already successfully connected with the user admin, which is straight out of the box, admin and PfSense. That's default when it comes out of the box, and I'm connected by this IP address. And this IP address is coming from the Ubuntu machine. Okay, so you see this piece of software is running. It's acting as a server. It is a server. It is server software. It's basically a firewall, an IDS, IPS, all that good stuff. And I'm going to show you how to connect to it. So Ubuntu is running and PfSense is running. Great. We go to Ubuntu. This is my hacking machine, so we call it hack. And we go back to the IP address 192.168.1.1, and we have this installation wizard to set up PfSense. So we connected from Ubuntu to the PfSense server software, web-based. So let's install this together. As you see here, admin account is the default value. So it's very much recommended just to change the default setting into something that you know, of course, because we're talking about the security of your home network, basically. So you don't want to set up a product like that with default username and default password. Without further ado, let's just try to install this together. Next, Netgear acquired PfSense, so you will see some Netgear here and there. Next, so host name for this machine, PfSense. You can set up a domain name if you have the domain name, let's say for instance your company domain, or the domain you set up on your home network. Here you can set up DNS servers when you connect to the internet with your router or with your modem, I should say. Default out of the box, it's set up to a certain DNS server, and that's usually the DNS server of your ISP, your internet service provider. You can use OpenDNS, for instance, a DNS service that will take your requests, but hopefully doesn't keep a log of all the websites that you're visiting. If you don't care, you don't care, but if you do care, then you can set up an alternative DNS server here. Let's check if OpenDNS IP, this is the IP address for the alternative DNS server through OpenDNS. And if you don't know what OpenDNS is, just do a little bit of research. I just gave you a big hint over here. But DNS stands for the domain name servers. And every time you type in a URL like google.com, it's connected to an IP address, and all these IP addresses that you request from your own IP address, your public IP address, they will be logged. So in that sense, your privacy is invaded a little bit, and you can do something about it because you can use alternative DNS servers. Check it out. We go back. So we don't set it up now. Override DNS, allow DNS servers to be overridden by DHCP on WAN. Great. Let's continue. Time server host name. So NTP stands for network time protocol. It will set up the time, the atomic time for your PfSense machine. This is very useful when you want to do some research on the system logging that you have and the network login that you have. You will have the exact time on events that happening on your network. So set it up correctly. Here we are in the Amsterdam region, and out of my head it's like, okay, you can just set in Berlin. Could also be Amsterdam. Amsterdam, yes, I'm from the Netherlands. Next, okay, you can configure your WAN interface. So you have two interfaces on your PfSense machine. You have a WAN interface and you have a LAN interface. Remember, this is your router. So the traffic coming from the internet has to pass through this machine, and this machine will pass the traffic to your network, and that's the LAN, local area network. WAN or WAN, sorry, WAN is wide area network, and that's the internet. So this is basically a machine that can filter internet traffic. So all the traffic coming from the internet and been passed on to your network, this box will filter. And that's such a great feature. That's such a great tool if you want to really protect your network. What we're looking at here is you can set this to a static machine or DHCP. You can enable DHCP. DHCP is standing for Dynamic Host Communications Protocol. I'm not sure what the C is standing for, but I know what it's doing. This machine is handing out IP addresses. If you connect to the network, you will get an IP address assigned through this machine based on your WAN. Oh no, sorry. Based on your, how's it called again? MAC address. And the MAC address is the address of your network card. This is a hardware address, and each network card in the world has a unique MAC address. So with that MAC address, you will be identified as a certain client, and this MAC address will be assigned a certain IP all the time. So if you have a big network, or you have many devices, multiple phones, mobile phones, laptops, desktops, things like that, just set it to DHCP. Then this box will hand you out IP address. Here we talked about MAC addresses, static IP configurations. If you want to do that, you can assign every individual machine in your house a static IP address, so it will never change. With a DHCP server, you have a lease time, usually 48 hours, and then the IP will be released, and the next device that connects to your network will be assigned the same IP address. So if you frequently use your computer on the network, you will remain the same IP address. But if you use it only once in a while, the IP address, the internal IP address of your machine will vary. Okay. Different kind of configurations, PPOE, old protocols. Let me see again where it's standing for. Let's do it properly. See, point-to-point protocol over Ethernet. It's a protocol first used in 1999, so it's kind of obsolete. We have better things around. PPTP, point-to-point tunneling protocol for VPNs, I see here. Or let's see, make a connection between two computers over the internet. Point-to-point tunneling, and tunneling always means encryption. Okay, continue. The LAN IP address of this box, straight out of the box, is this. This is really default, and for the sake of this tutorial, I'll keep it default. Subnet mask 24. If you don't know what it is, just Google it. This is not really the focus of this video. This is really networking stuff. So next, set an admin GUI password. We'll just change it into something we know. It's not a big password, but it's something we know, and that means it's not default anymore. You can you can use this password to access the web GUI, graphical user interface, or SSH into this box secure shell. Next, let's see. Now, if we have to save this, let's just do it for now. Reload. So, okay, we're almost there. Okay, wizard is complete, and finish. Okay, we have some copyright and trademark notices. We accept it. Thank you. Okay, again, what are you looking at? This is all running inside a virtual machine. So you're looking at a Ubuntu machine right now that acts as a client, but the PfSense machine is running here. Do we still have it open? Yes, we have it open. This is PfSense. This is usually installed on an old computer, which I can show you. Just PC with dual NIC. NIC standing for Network Interface Controller. Let's see. Okay, now yeah. Okay. Now, well, this computer, for instance, has a dual NIC, and this is NIC 1 and this is NIC 2. On NIC 1, usually it's a direct connection to the modem, and the modem you connect to your ISP, your internet service provider, and you connect it to this slot, okay? And inside of here is PfSense running. So you have all the services set up, which I will show you in a minute. And this is basically the dirty internet. Some magic happens around here, and from here you can connect it to the main switch of your LAN, your local area network. So you can connect it here, and there you can have your servers, you have your computers, you have maybe another switch that go to different rooms, whatever you want. So WAN and LAN, just like we talked about. The internet and your local area network, your home network. Okay. We close this and we go back to Ubuntu. So this is PfSense. We just set it up together. This is the dashboard. You're looking at what kind of CPU you're having, what's enabled, what's not enabled, what's the uptime of this system, how much CPU usage is going on at the moment, memory usage, how much percentage of the disk is enabled, and the interfaces that we're looking at. WAN and LAN. So it did see a WAN and a LAN interface because I set it up. Earlier on in the video you saw how I set it up, so I was able to connect to it. Again, PfSense is an open source firewall solution. You can install it on an old computer with 2 network interface cards, and it can do a whole lot of neat things for you. Let's go over some of them. The first thing that comes to mind is the firewall. Let's go into the NAT settings. NAT is standing for Network Address Translation. So let's say, for instance, you have a server on the inside of your network, and people from the internet connect to a certain IP on a certain port, and that request goes to this PfSense machine, and it will be translated to the server that's connected on the network, on your own network, and that request will be sent to the proper machine. You can set it up here, so that's good. And also you can set up some rules here because it's still in the firewall. You can set up a DMZ, a demilitarized zone, so you have basically your server into between 2 firewalls, one firewall for the WAN side of things and one for the LAN side of things. Here you have firewall rules. So straight out of the box, PfSense comes with these rules, and this means block, traffic is blocked, traffic is blocked. For the WAN or for LAN. Well, LAN, you can also set it up to make sure that certain computers will not infect the rest of the network. Let's say, for instance, you have a computer that you just have no rules on. You can connect to the whole internet. There are no rules on that IP address of that computer. But that also means that that's a security risk for your network. So you can make sure that all the other computers that you really trust and that are, dearly to you, they can't connect to that computer and vice versa. So you can set rules for the LAN and for the WAN. And here we're talking about the firewall rules. What more we got? Schedules, traffic shapers, limiters, basically saying, let's say for instance that you have a VoIP server or you have a game server, and you know the bandwidth of your ISP, and you're saying maximum amount of bandwidth that machine can use is 50% of the overall bandwidth. You can set you can limit the amount of bandwidth going there. Maybe in the United States or different parts of the world where you really don't have that much bandwidth. I'm sorry if I offend people, but here in the Netherlands we're blessed with quite nice internet. Download, upload. But if you have a very busy server on your network that might just get all the data, get all the bandwidth, then all the other devices will suffer. So you can place a limiter on that machine. It's only allowed to upload 1 MB a second, or it's only allowed to upload 500 KB a second. Whatever your requirements and whatever your bandwidth allows you to do, you can set it all up here. So that's a limiter. Virtual IPs, I guess this has something to do with VPN. Other services, let's see, SNMP. This is also a very neat tool. No, let me first start with DHCP. We talked about this before. Subnetting, you need to know something about networking, but DHCP is, let me just Google it. DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. So this machine hands out IP addresses to all the different computers on the network, and it holds an IP address database. But that database, you know, it sounds too big. What it actually is, you can set it up here. You can set up the range. So this machine here is 1.1, and you can say that all the clients start at 110, going from 1 to 245. So you can connect a whole lot of machines here in the same IP range if you want to. You know, a home network will never have so much devices, but you get the picture. Also, what you can do with DHCP is separate devices. So you can have a whole range for, let's say, servers, mobile phones, desktops, Linux machines, Windows machines, because also on the OS basis of things, you can make separations. And why do you want to make separations? Because you can attach different kind of rules to these machines. If you don't trust, for instance, your Android phone because it's connected to Facebook 5 times a minute, you can put it in a different group, and then you can on DNS basis you can block Facebook. You can do that. We have a separate program for that, which I will explain in a later video. It's called Firewall. Just do your research. I'll just show you really quick. I'm sure I digress, but doesn't really matter. Firewall. Firewall is a Linux network level advertisement and internet tracker blocker. So if you think Facebook, I'm not using it, and why does my phone connect to Facebook 5 times or 10 times a minute? I want that stuff to I want it to change. I want to make sure that it can't connect to Facebook anymore. You can install Firewall. I also have it running on my network, but that's for another video. Let's go back. So DHCP, we talked about this, different kind of DNS servers, gateways, maximum lease time. Lease time, for instance, okay, you connect to the network with a certain computer, has a certain MAC address, and the first time it's appearing on the network, it will get a lease of 48 hours, which means that you can, in the next 2 days, your IP address of that computer will stay the same. So let's say, for instance, the last time you used the computer on Thursday, and the next week on Monday or Tuesday you use the computer again, it's very well possible your computer has been assigned a different IP. But if you want static IPs, you can also set it up. So every time you boot your computer, you will have the same IP address. I'm sure that's very useful when you have a server or when you have something else that you need to make sure that the IP address stays the same. I digress. This is DHCP. DNS, we talked about a little bit earlier. You know, DNS is when you look up a page online, you actually connect to an IP address, and DNS translate that IP address to a name, because a name is easier for humans to remember. And that's basically what DNS is. That's the service. It's very old, it's very common, and all the people that are checking this video will use it every day. But the thing with DNS is you have an IP address and you connect to different IP addresses. So it's very easy to just keep track of all the websites that you use. And it's, you know, ISPs do it, Google does it. If you are fond of your privacy, you can find alternative DNS servers. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I will not go further into it. SNMP. This has to do with the network as well. I have to just all these terms. Simple network management protocol. Okay, that's what it is. What this is, every device with an internet connection with a network card can send diagnostic information about its CPU usage, its memory usage, uptime, downtime, stuff like that. With this, you can really manage your network. And if you have 2 or 3 computers, then this is no use. But when you have 100 devices with all individual names and they all use SNMP, then it's very easy to see, okay, this computer is down, or this hard drive is about to be full. What's happening with this machine? You can set that up out of the box in PfSense. How great is that? But of course, on all individual client machines, you also need to set up SNMP, and they all need to connect to an SNMP server. And guess what? You're looking at it. It's PfSense. So it's very great if you have a big network to set this up, because you have in one dashboard an overview of what's happening on your network. If you have to manage 100 devices, then it's barely impossible to just walk past all 100 devices and see what's going on. But they will send information back to this server, and with an overview, one overview, a dashboard, you're seeing what's going on, what's happening on the network. Great stuff. All out of the box in PfSense. Wake on LAN, okay. VPN. Yeah, you can set up a VPN client here on this machine. So if you're using this in a corporate environment, for instance, you can connect it to a VPN service that you buy online. Or you can use a VPN point-to-point or VPN point-to-point. I have to make sure what I say is correct. VPN point-to-site. Point-to-point. Okay, point-to-point. I think this is what I'm referring to. Right? VPN gateway, client. Anyway, you can set it up from one location to another location, or you can set it up in a way that, you know, if you're remote, working somewhere, let's say you're at a McDonald's or a coffee shop, you can use a VPN client to connect to your own network, and all the internet traffic will be downloaded from this PfSense machine and sent encrypted to you, even if you're using an unencrypted internet connection, an open Wi-Fi spot, for instance. So even on that open Wi-Fi spot, all the internet traffic, all the stuff you're checking online will be encrypted. So that gives you a little bit of extra protection if somebody might be sniffing the internet. You know, all the connections there going to that open Wi-Fi access point, what's going on, and you will add another layer of encryption, basically rendering that action, it's basically rendering that action not successful for that guy. So you can set up VPN on this machine as well. What else we got? NTP monitoring, system logs, traffic logs. Traffic log is really like what kind of traffic is going to this machine right now. And I'm sure there's no traffic going through it at the moment, because there's no traffic going through it, because it's installed inside a virtual box. No traffic is going through it. But when this is a production environment and you definitely got 2 network cables connected to it, WAN and LAN, there's traffic going through it. And with monitoring, you can see the kind of the internet usage for, you know, the last 24 hours or the last week, stuff like that. What else we got? Gateways. You usually only got one gateway. Queue, system logs, traffic graphs, UNP, diagnostics. Let's see, I thought I have more here. Let's just go back to the dashboard. Can we download something? LAN, WAN, okay. DHCP. You can set it up DHCP 6, static IPv6. I'm looking for one great package and it's called Snort. Alias is traffic shaper. Ooh, it's not here, it's not here. Also not here. Okay. IPsec, gateways, OpenVPN, firewall logs, yes. Gateways. Okay. Services. Where is Snort? Routing. Package manager. Okay, there's no packages installed, available packages unable to be retrieved. That probably has something to do with my internet connection at the moment. Yeah, we'll just leave that for another video, because what Snort is basically, and I have to do a whole separate video on that. Snort is an IDS and an IPS, and an IDS stands for Intrusion Detection System, and IPS is standing for Intrusion Prevention System. So this is basically deep packet inspection on your network, looking for attack patterns. It can detect attack patterns and then block the traffic on that port coming from that IP accordingly when it thinks it's being under attack. And these attack signatures being updated by a big database that grows every day, and that will be shared with you when you sign up to Snort. I will show you real quick. Snort. Yes, this is the logo. Network Intrusion Detection and Prevention System. You can sign up here. Download the rules. That's the rules. Basically are the attack patterns, the attack signatures, and PfSense also incorporates Snort, which is great. It's just, I mean, you can turn an old computer, a 10-15-year-old computer, into a super router, super firewall, especially in this day and age. And you can also have your own IDS and IPS. But there's a disclaimer here, and the thing is, you can download the rules, but you will see that certain websites, they will not function anymore. So websites, let's say, what did they have lately? Just a normal Dutch website, a web shop. All of a sudden, it didn't function no more. Then I did some research, and I see that the website is hosted somewhere in the Far East. And Snort say, okay, all the IP addresses come from the Far East, I will block. Incoming and outgoing traffic will be blocked. So straight out of the box, it will not work. You still need to tweak Snort. Snort is very complicated, but very neat. There are complete courses on Snort that take 2 to 3 years to fully understand this package. But this power can be brought to you for free on your own network, which is fantastic. And I need to know way more about this before I do a video, but I know of the strength, what this package has, and I've seen it in action, and it's quite fantastic to really see this. Let's go back to PfSense. So we're running this inside a virtual box. I've been talking about it quite long. You see some firewall logs. This is my local IP address. Also with this, when it comes to this firewall, you also have false positives. So there might be something happening on the network that shouldn't be blocked, but is blocked for a certain reason. And you need to whitelist this action to make sure that it keeps on working. Security is really like, we block everything until we have a reason to unblock it. So, you know, it really still takes some user input to really get this stuff right. And it can take hours to set up correctly. But the great thing about PfSense is that you can export this configuration file and import it into your new machine and your new situation, so your time will not be wasted. If you make frequent backups, then it's great. For my personal situation, I didn't set it up myself. I have somebody else that has great network knowledge, and I've been running this package now for, let's say, 2021, 2012, yeah, 8 years now. 8 years. I've been running this for 8 years now. We used several machines, and now it's also running on a, just an old computer with a Xenon processor, enough memory. And I bought that computer for 200 euros or so, and now it's running for 2 years already, straight up. And it's doing its best, and it's doing good. And once in a while I check the logging, what's going on in the network, and it really blocks a lot of hacking attempts. And the great thing about this, again, this PfSense package, is because the rules, the signatures of attacks, a lot of the packages, they're all open source. So there's a big community behind this, which is very active, and they all contribute to making this product more safe. So that's a great effort. They're really doing good work. This video took a lot of time, but it's fine. I got my point across. I just wanted to show you guys how to set up PfSense and how to explore this in your own environment. There's no traffic flowing through this package, so I cannot really show you a lot. I will also not show you my production machine for obvious reasons, but you have an overview of what this PfSense can do. This is, by the way, PfSense version 2.5. It came out recently, even this year, 2021, and I'm showing you right now, but I don't have the right network settings yet because it's not able to check for updates, so I can't really connect to the internet right now. It's just the web GUI I'm about to show you, and I show you that it's actually running on the server here. So I want to thank you for watching this long video. I hope you found it interesting, and if you have any questions about this, please let me know. I'm not a great expert, but I've been using this product for a number of years, so I'm sure I can answer some of your questions. If you're interested in security, if you're interested especially in network security, look into PfSense. The next video will show you OpenSense, which is its brother or its sister. It's a little bit different approach, but many of the features that you see in PfSense you'll also find in OpenSense, and we do a little bit of a comparison. So thanks for watching, and we hope to see you guys in the next video.